Long before the age of heroes, before cities rose and fell, the ancient Greeks believed the world had already been destroyed once before, not by fire, but by water. This was the great flood sent by Zeus when humanity had grown violent, corrupt, and forgetful of the gods. Sacred laws were broken, hospitality was ignored, and impiety spread across the earth. Seeing that mankind could no longer be corrected, Zeus resolved to wipe the world clean and begin again. The earliest framework for this myth comes from Hesiod, who places a man named Deucalion, son of Prometheus, at the dawn of a renewed human race. Though Hesiod does not fully describe the flood itself, he establishes Deucalion as a survivor of a great destruction, a seed from which later generations would grow. Deucalion was not alone. His wife was Pyrrha, daughter of Epimetheus and Pandora, the very first woman created by the gods. Through Pyrrha, the new humanity would descend directly from the original human lineage, binding the old world to the new. When Zeus made his decision, he did not act alone. Notus was the god and personification of the south wind, one of the 4 anemoi who governed the cardinal winds in Greek mythology. He was associated with late summer and autumn storms, bringing warm, moisture-laden air, heavy rains, and sudden downpours that could swell rivers and cause flooding. Unlike the gentler Zephyrus or the icy Boreas, Notus was feared for his destructive weather, capable of ruining crops and unsettling the seas. He did not act through trickery or rebellion. Rather, he moved at the command of higher gods, especially Zeus, functioning as an instrument of divine will. In flood traditions, Notus embodies the relentless rain that complements Poseidon's rising waters, showing how sky and sea could unite to overwhelm the world. The sky darkened as Notus, the god of the south wind, was unleashed. Warm, rain-heavy winds swept across the land, feeding endless storms. Rivers burst their banks, rain fell without pause, and valleys vanished beneath rising water. At the same time, Poseidon struck the earth with his trident. The seas rose beyond their bounds, waves crashed inland, and springs and earthquakes shattered the land. Where Zeus commanded from the heavens, Poseidon ensured the flood reached every corner of the world. Forewarned by his father Prometheus, Deucalion built a great chest, not a ship, sealing himself inside with Pyrrha. As the waters swallowed the earth, all other life was swept away. For 9 days and 9 nights, the chest drifted upon a drowned world, until at last it came to rest upon Mount Parnassus, one of the few peaks left above the sea. When the waters receded, Deucalion and Pyrrha stepped out into silence. They were the last humans alive. Grieving and uncertain, they prayed to Themis, goddess of divine law, asking how humanity might be restored. The oracle answered with a riddle. "Throw behind you the bones of your mother." Understanding that the mother was the earth herself and her bones were stone, they obeyed. The stones cast by Deucalion became men. Those thrown by Pyrrha became women. From lifeless rock, humanity was reborn, hardened by suffering, yet given a second chance. Later writers would reflect on this ancient catastrophe. Pindar speaks of Zeus destroying an earlier race of mankind, while Apollodorus preserves the most complete version of the tale, detailing the flood, the chest, and the rebirth of humanity. The philosopher Plato would later suggest that floods such as this were not unique, but cyclical. Disasters that erased civilizations again and again, leaving only a few survivors to rebuild the world. And centuries afterward, the Roman poet Ovid retold the story in vivid detail, describing stones softening into flesh and a broken world slowly breathing again. In Metamorphoses Book 1, Lycaon is presented by Ovid as the clearest proof that humanity had become irredeemably corrupt. When Zeus visits Arcadia disguised as a mortal to test mankind, Lycaon greets him not with hospitality, but with mockery and violence. He plots to murder the god in his sleep and, in an act of ultimate impiety, serves him a gruesome meal made from the flesh of a murdered hostage, often said to be a child, mixing it among cooked and uncooked meat to see if Zeus will notice. Zeus immediately recognizes the crime, overturns the table in fury, and destroys Lycaon's palace with divine fire. As punishment, Lycaon is transformed into a wolf. His savagery remains, but his human form is stripped away. This act of cannibalism, attempted murder of a guest, and violation of sacred hospitality convinces Zeus that mankind as a whole is beyond reform, directly prompting his decision to unleash the Great Flood. To the ancient Greeks, the flood of Deucalion was not merely a myth of destruction. It was a reminder that the gods could erase civilization in an instant, and that humanity itself had already been remade once before, from stone, from silence, and from the mercy of the gods. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you for watching.